when a warrior falls, there isn't always an audience. There isn't always honor. Sometimes, there's only the sound of skates cutting through empty ice, a cold spotlight at center rink, and the silence of goodbye that no one announced. And maybe that's how Ryan Reaves is leaving the NHL. No cameras, no applause, no final fight. Toronto may never see him in the blue and white again. And maybe neither will the league. In 2023, the Maple Leafs were looking for more than talent. They were looking for presence, a voice, physical strength, an element that doesn't show up in stats but can be felt in the locker room and across enemy lines. Reaves arrived as the embodiment of that, a battle-worn veteran, known for his energy, his charisma, and of course, his fists, not for scoring goals, but for fighting. A 3-year deal, $1.35 million per season. An emotional and symbolic investment in someone who brought more than numbers. He brought an aura of respect, but the season came and went. And what followed wasn't what anyone expected. Only 35 games played, 2 assists, a single fight, little impact, little time on the ice, little of what once made him legendary. If you truly follow the NHL, if you live for the drama between the lines, the behind-the-scenes moments that shape a franchise's fate, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications now. Because what's about to unfold in Toronto goes beyond stats. This is about identity, about change, about the final chapters of an era. Newly appointed head coach Craig Berube, despite still playing at a high level, already made up his mind. Represents a short-term. Reaves has been absent from the preferred lineup since early March. Since then, he disappeared. And when he was called up again, it was under almost unimaginable circumstances for a name like his. 3 games with the Toronto Marlies in the AHL. A return to the development league after 15 years. 15 years. It's not a place I want to go back to, Reaves said. But that's the nature of the business. There aren't many 38-year-olds down there. That sentence says it all. The coldness of the industry. The brutality of time. The NHL waits for no one. And Reaves's body, much like the style that once defined him, seems to have no more room in this fast, technical, and tactically advanced league. At 38, Reaves was placed on waivers. No team claimed him. 31 franchises saw his name and passed. No moves. No offers. No rumors. Nothing. The market answered with silence. A silence that, for those who understand the league's backstage politics, speaks louder than any headline. So what does Toronto do now? The franchise has 2 options. First, buy out his contract. That would mean a salary cap hit of $450,000 for 2 seasons, along with real cost of $900,000. Not enough to sink a team, but not light enough to ignore either. The second option, bury him again in the AHL. If they do, they'll pay the full $1.35 million salary, but only take on a $200,000 cap hit, assuming he stays in the minors. A small financial relief with a heavy symbolic weight. But neither of these are real solutions. They're just different ways to push the problem aside. Because the truth is there, raw and unfiltered, stamped on the empty locker room, and the number 75 still hanging in his stall. Reaves may have already played his final NHL game, and that possible ending raises a bigger question. One that bothers the most nostalgic fans. Is there still room for a player like Ryan Reaves in the modern NHL? For years, enforcer was a vital role. He protected stars, imposed respect, and could shift the emotional momentum of a game with a single punch. But today's NHL is faster than ever, smarter than ever. Players are expected to be versatile, to contribute offensively, to be agile. And in that context, Reaves, with his straightforward, physical, and offensively limited style, has become a symbol of another era, an era that may be slipping away. Toronto, as an organization, needs to decide not only Reaves' future, but what it wants to become. At the same time, they're facing much larger dilemmas. like the contracts of Mitch Marner, John Tavares, and the status of Matthew Knies, the team is dealing with smaller signs of change. And Ryan Reaves is one of those signs. Small in minutes, but massive in meaning. It's strange to think that such an iconic player could simply vanish from the radar. No ceremony, no tribute, no final fight. But that's hockey, a sport of quick glories and quiet exits. Do you think there's still a place for someone like Ryan Reaves in today's NHL? Or did we already see his final appearance, disguised as just another game in March? Drop a comment below. I want to hear what you think, because the voice of the fans is what keeps the memory alive. The ice in Toronto is melting, and something big is about to happen. Because while Ryan Reaves seems to be saying his goodbyes in silence, a much louder storm is brewing at the heart of the roster. And it goes by a name that carries weight, history, and conflict: Mitch Marner. In the final seconds of Game 7 against the Florida Panthers, as frustration filled the stands and silence replaced hope, the camera caught him. Motionless, isolated, with a look that said more than any press conference ever could. Marner knew. And so, did anyone watching? That may have been the last time we saw Mitch Marner wearing blue and white. The scene felt like it had been written by a cruel screenwriter. Another elimination. Another year without a Stanley Cup. And a core that's aging alongside the city's growing impatience. Marner, one of the faces of a promising generation that never delivered on its potential, now sees the story unfolding toward an inevitable ending. And that's when reality comes knocking. Just over a week after the decisive game, the situation between player and franchise remains unresolved. But it feels like the pieces are already moving. According to Chris Johnson of TSN, the Leafs are considering trading Marner's rights even before free agency opens on July 1st. This isn't just a rumor. It's the beginning of a rupture. Johnson revealed in an interview on TSN 1050's First Up that the Leafs still have 5 weeks of control over Marner's contract. A precious window. A window that, if used wisely, could mean a trade even before the official offseason begins. And he went further. I don't think he's come this far into the final year of his contract. Despite still playing at a high level now, represents I think he's at least interested in testing the open market. What does that mean? It means Mitch Marner is, in fact, ready to leave. And Toronto seems just as ready to let him go. This isn't just about performance. Marner is still one of the NHL's best playmakers. But the wear and tear is visible. Internally, externally, from the fans, the media, even within the locker room, where the weight of repeated playoff failures can no longer be ignored. And this isn't a simple tactical decision. It's a turning point for the franchise. Marner represents an era, a project, a promise that began with the 2015 draft and that, nearly a decade later, remains unfulfilled. He, Austin Matthews, William Nylander, and John Tavares have carried Toronto for years under the burden of one dream: to break the Stanley Cup curse. But time takes its toll, and the city has grown restless. The potential end of the Marner era also signals the beginning of something new, a reset. According to David Pagnotta of the Fourth Period, the Leafs are exploring options on the market, and the hottest name is Chris Kreider of the New York Rangers, a winger with physical presence, offensive talent, and clutch experience, a player molded in the style that new head coach Craig Berube wants to impose: aggression, commitment, presence. Kreider doesn't replace Marner in raw skill, but he brings something Toronto may have lacked in recent years: a more direct instinct, less finesse, more impact. But while Marner's future remains unclear, the front office is also tending to pieces that could ensure stability. Matthew Knies is one of them. Reports say the Leafs have already begun talks to extend his contract. The young forward is being viewed as a rare gem, someone with the potential to become a cornerstone of a new team. And that's no small thing. Knies is still raw, but his maturity in key moments caught the coaching staff's attention. The idea is to lock him in, make him the center of the project. And there's more. Former captain John Tavares, a symbol of leadership and professionalism, has also entered the equation. Talks about his future have been positive, but there's a catch: salary end term. Toronto wants cap space. Tavares wants respect for his legacy. The solution will be political and delicate. So the Leafs now stand on three fronts. They are slowly saying goodbye to Reaves, most likely in silence, facing a painful breakup with Marner, which could come at any moment, and planting the seeds of a new era with Knies and possibly Kreider. It's a cycle of change, and it's accelerating. Marner could be traded before July 1st, or simply left to the whims of free agency. But the truth is, the relationship between him and the franchise seems to have run its course. And this kind of fracture doesn't heal with words. The question is Toronto ready to move on? And you, fan, are you ready to see Marner shine in another jersey? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is it time for a change? Or is there still a chance for reconciliation? And don't go anywhere. In the next video, we're diving even deeper into the Leafs' offensive options and how Marner's potential departure could open the door for an aggressive market overhaul. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because the ice may be melting in Toronto, but the decisions coming next are going to be colder than ever.